Welcome to the Deep Dive. Really glad you're joining us today. We're about to jump into a pretty fascinating exploration.
Yeah, looking at the absolute latest, the most compelling stuff happening across tech and gadgets.
Exactly. And our mission, like always, is to kind of cut through all the noise, give you the important bits, the surprising nuggets.
Get you up to speed quickly, but thoroughly on what's actually shaping things.
We've got a great stack of sources today, mostly fresh TLDR and TechCrunch insights. It's like a real-time snapshot.
It really is. And what stands out, I think, is just how fast everything's moving.
Oh, definitely.
It constantly challenges your assumptions, raises these big questions about, well, where we're heading.
So think of today's deep dive as like a high-speed tour. We're going from the code that builds AI to self-driving cars and even, brand new ways to treat pain. Some wild stories in here.
It's quite the range.
And the theme you'll probably notice is just this incredible pace of innovation. Sometimes it's almost bewildering, right?
It is. And how AI is just weaving itself into everything.
Yeah.
Autonomous vehicles, their whole journey.
Yeah, the bumps in the road there.
Exactly. And then these quieter hardware and science breakthroughs that are, maybe less flashy, but super important for the future.
Okay, so let's dive straight in. Section 1, AI. It feels like this invisible revolution happening all around us.
Especially in how software gets built, the development workflows.
Right. Did you see that Warp, the AI coding agent? It hit #1 on Terminal Bench.
Yeah, I saw that. Beat Claude Code by 20%. That's significant.
It's huge. So what does that really mean, practically speaking, an AI leading like that?
Well, I think it signals a shift.
Yeah.
It's not just AI helping developers anymore. It's becoming an active agent in the whole process. Salesforce's CEO mentioned AI doing 30, maybe even 50% of their company's work.
Wow.
That's not just speeding things up. It changes the whole human-computer dynamic in making software.
So developers spending less time on the grunt work, maybe? More on the bigger picture?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
More on architecture, less on boilerplate. It could seriously accelerate innovation, maybe in ways we don't even fully grasp yet.
And Warp specifically, it's got those features like supporting long-running commands, which is apparently rare.
Right. And the agent multi-threading. Multiple AIs working together, kind of under your direction.
Covering the whole life cycle, too, setup to deployment. I saw that quote from someone at OpenAI calling it absolutely amazing.
Yeah, transformed my workflow. That's a strong endorsement.
Plus, you've got xAI's Grok getting that advanced code editor, run code right in Grok.
And OpenAI adding deep research and webhooks to their API, supporting models like Code Interpreter, and they mentioned MCP.
Yeah, MCP sounded interesting. The sources were a bit light on the details there, but hints maybe at more specialized models coming.
It all points to this faster cycle, right? Building more complex AI systems more efficiently. AI as a collaborator, not just a tool.
Okay, but it's not just for the coders. How's it hitting us, as consumers? Creative tools.
Well, look at Google rolling out AI search on YouTube.
Right, the AI summaries.
Exactly. You search, you get an AI summary of the video. The sources even said you may not even have to watch the videos.
Which is interesting. It's opt-in for premium users for now, but still.
It does raise that big question, doesn't it? About content consumption.
Yeah.
Will summaries replace watching? What's that mean for creators? It's a huge potential shift.
And we're already seeing the impact in places like e-commerce, that Bloomreach survey.
Yeah, conversational AI driving 33% higher revenue per visit. And almost everyone, 93% of consumers, finds it important.
People clearly like that interaction, but the creator side, that's a worry.
It's an unfolding story. And then you have things like Google's Doppel app.
The AI dressing room. That sounds pretty fun, actually. Upload your photo, try on clothes from screenshots.
Yeah, and FLUX.1 context. That's a 12 billion parameter image editing model.
Okay.
But it runs on consumer hardware. You don't need a giant server farm for really advanced image stuff anymore.
Wow, okay. That's a big deal.
If you connect the dots, these tools are democratizing things. Personalized experiences, pro-level creation. It's becoming accessible.
Falling barriers to entry. More power and more hands.
Exactly.
So we've got AI building stuff, AI helping us consume stuff. What about our actual relationship with AI? That Anthropic study was interesting.
Oh, yeah, the analysis of 4.5 million conversations.
Finding only, 2.9% involved emotional support?
Right. And crucially, people's sentiment improved during the chats.
And Claude, their AI, barely disagreed with users. Less than 10% of the time, and mostly just for safety.
What's fascinating there is how the data kind of cuts through the speculation.
Yeah.
It suggests maybe a more supportive, less dependency-driven relationship than some of the, dystopian fears we hear about. More like a helpful assistant.
Definitely challenges some assumptions, but then you see things like the Danish government tackling deepfakes.
Right, changing copyright law.
Yeah.
Giving people rights to their own body, face, voice.
That seems really proactive. Smart.
It is. And then you contrast that with, say, Facebook wanting to access your entire camera roll.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, to suggest AI edits. Even for photos you haven't uploaded.
Exactly. So is that the trade-off? Convenience versus privacy? Or is there another way?
That's the tension, isn't it? Denmark sets a legal line, Facebook pushes it.
And the middle ground probably involves really clear user control, transparent data use.
Which companies aren't always incentivized to provide.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So it leads to that huge question. Who owns your digital self in the AI age? What are we willing to trade for convenience? We're just starting to wrestle with that.
Okay, let's shift gears. From the invisible AI revolution to something very visible. Autonomous vehicles. AVs.
Always a hot topic.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Uber, talking to Travis Kalanick.
Its own co-founder, who they ousted years ago.
Right, to help him buy the U.S. part of Pony.ai, the Chinese AV company.
And if the deal goes through, Kalanick runs Pony.ai US.
And Pony.ai already has permits for robotaxis and trucks. U.S. and China, what is going on there?
It's fascinating, isn't it? The history, the rivalries coming back around.
Yeah.
But strategically, it could be a major play. Pony.ai has permits in key markets. Kalanick knows scaling. That's a powerful combo.
Especially in the AV race, where permits are gold.
Absolutely. It shows how dynamic this space is. Alliances shift, old players reappear.
Speaking of shifting, Tesla's robotaxi launch in Austin, the reaction seems mixed.
Mixed is putting it mildly. The authorities called it a Rorschach test. Polarizing views.
It was a limited start, right? Less than 20 cars, South Austin only, safety drivers still present.
Yeah, very early days. But then social media lit up.
Videos of cars crossing double yellows, braking suddenly.
Exactly. And now federal safety regulators are asking Tesla questions.
So what does this chaos tell us about where AV tech actually is?
It really highlights the massive gap between controlled testing and messy reality. That phrase from the sources, noise and very little signal, captures it well. It's hard to judge real progress amidst the hype and the inevitable early stumbles. Real-world driving is just incredibly complex.
It's iterating in public, essentially.
Pretty much, which stands in contrast to Waymo.
Right, Waymo seems much more established. They expanded with Uber in Atlanta.
Yeah, big 65-square-mile area. And they're doing over 250,000 paid rides weekly across 5 cities now. Probably more like 300,000 with the expansions.
That's a lot of rides. And Uber Eats using sidewalk robots now, too, in Atlanta.
So you see this divergence, right? Tesla's camera-only, rapid rollout versus Waymo's slower, multi-sensor approach.
Which seems to be yielding more consistent results, at least for now.
Appears so. And Uber's playing a different game altogether. Not building the AVs, but being the network.
Partnering with Waymo, Serve Robotics, letting others handle the tech while they handle the customers.
It's a smart ecosystem play. Very pragmatic.
Okay, so all this software, all these vehicles, what about the underlying tech? The nuts and bolts. Let's hit some hardware and infrastructure stuff.
Sounds good.
Do you know about DevShim? It's apparently in almost every Linux or Unix system.
Ah, the RAM scratchpad.
Yeah. Files run way faster because they're in RAM, right? But they vanish on reboot, like a hidden speed boost.
It's one of those classic simple tricks that can make a real difference for certain tasks. A good reminder that sometimes the old tools are still powerful.
Yeah, if you know they exist.
And speaking of fundamental hardware, those NVIDIA GPU export restrictions to China, they're actually delaying DeepSeek's next AI models. Shows how critical that high-end hardware is. It's a real bottleneck in the global AI race.
Wow, hardware still rules. And on a lighter hardware note, the blue screen of death is dead.
End of an era after 40 years.
Who hasn't seen that screen? Now it's a black screen of death.
A bit more somber, maybe? Or just more modern?
What do you think? Good riddance? Or kind of iconic?
It's funny. It is iconic in a frustrating way. But I guess it signals Microsoft just continuing to refine things, even error messages.
Making crashes look sleeker.
Maybe less jarring, yeah. Part of making tech feel less intimidating, even when it fails.
Okay, stepping away from core tech for a second, some amazing stuff happening in health. This feels huge.
What's that?
The FDA approved Vertex Pharmaceuticals.
Oh, the new pain reliever. Suzetrigine.
Yes. First non-opioid for post-surgery pain. Doesn't really hit the brain, targets specific pain neurons, no opioid side effects.
That's genuinely massive, a completely new way to manage pain.
27 years of research, billions of dollars.
And that really underscores the difference, doesn't it? Tech can feel instant, but these foundational science breakthroughs, they take decades. Serious long-term investment.
Yeah, a real game changer for potentially millions of people.
Monumental achievement.
And other science keeps marching on, too. Cancer vaccine work is ongoing, tricky, but progressing.
Constantly refining the approach there.
And they just found a new blood type, Guada negative.
The 48th recognized blood type.
48! I had no idea there were that many.
It just reminds you, right? Foundational science has its own rhythm. Slower, maybe, but constantly pushing what we know about life itself.
Okay, last section. Let's call it the quirky and the crucial. Some unexpected insights.
Right.
FPV drones in Ukraine. We hear a lot about them. Cheap, precise.
Yeah, the battlefield hype.
But the actual success rate, including missions they have to abort, only 20–30%.
Wow, that low. Why?
Well, the sources say they're actually expensive when you factor everything in. Hard to use, really vulnerable to jamming.
Electronic warfare is a big factor.
Yeah. And no night vision for many of them, which is a problem when it's dark for like 14 hours.
So it's that classic gap again. Hype versus the messy reality of using tech under extreme conditions.
Cheap and accessible doesn't always mean effective, I guess.
Especially in combat. And speaking of messy realities, Scale AI's problem serving Google.
Oh, right. The company helping train Google's AI.
Plagued by spammers submitting terrible work, basically.
And getting paid because there were just so many of them, slipping through the cracks.
It raises that question about the human in the loop, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do you maintain data quality at scale when people are actively trying to game the system? It's a huge challenge for training trustworthy AI.
Affects the very foundation, and you might not even know it's happening easily.
Exactly, a hidden vulnerability.
Okay, let's end this bit on a lighter note. PetLabro's AI camera.
Ah, for pet owners.
Yeah. The Scout Smart camera. Gives you insights into what your pet's doing, tracks eating, walking.
So you can finally know if the dog is sleeping on the couch all day.
Exactly. AI confirms your suspicions.
But it shows, again, how AI is just filtering into every little niche. Convenience, understanding, even for our pets.
It's not all world-changing robots. Sometimes it's just knowing when the cat ate lunch.
Yeah, makes everyday life a bit more connected.
That brings us pretty much to the end of this deep dive. We covered a ton of ground.
We really did. From AI writing code.
Yeah, warp, to self-driving cars navigating tricky rollouts.
Tesla versus Waymo.
That groundbreaking non-opioid pain killing.
Journavex, yeah.
Monumental.
And even AI pet cameras. It really shows how fast everything's changing, reshaping things.
Hopefully you listening now have a much clearer picture of these key advancements, those aha moments that cut through the daily noise.
Giving you that context for what's happening right now and what might be next.
Exactly.
So thinking about all this, as AI gets deeper into our lives, coding, virtual clothes, driving, what aspect of this rapid change do you think will have the biggest unexpected impact in the next year or so?
That's a good one. And maybe also consider this. With innovation moving this fast, how do we make sure we're not just grabbing the new shiny tech, but actually thinking through the consequences, guiding it responsibly, ethically?
Definitely big questions to chew on. We really hope this deep dive sparks some curiosity for you. Keep exploring this stuff.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.